Greetings, everyone. Welcome to CRWS, R.I.P.S number 27. Today's date, February 23rd, and I'm going to begin with reading the quote from today from Nyan Saysem, which reads, "That is one of the paradoxes of human behavior, that the very things that shape us and make us behave the way we do, see the world the way we see it, and relate to people the way we relate to them, are those things that occurred in our lives at points we cannot remember or recall." Amos N. Wilson. Imagine lying in filth, disease, spittle, vomit, pus, slime, unidentifiable excretions from bed sores, fleas, ringworms, and lice. Imagine worms, maggots, and bodily waste, maggots thriving in bed sores on your back, arms, legs, and head. The whips, welts, and the wounds cut and kept open by the metal cuffs locked to our wrists, ankles, and sometimes necks. Imagine the never-ending scratching, tearing through skin wherever you could reach to get at the parasites and disease infesting your body. Imagine sweat, tears, human and rat feces, blood, pieces of flesh, teeth, toenails, fingernails, hair, menstrual blood, aborted fetuses, broken water, dead babies, afterbirth, screaming, moaning, numbing, pain, living bodies, not moving for days. This is no fiction. It was the worst nightmare in humanity. It was raw, unrelenting horror. Only someone seeking to universalize and normalize European barbarities or make our Hellacaust less tragic than it actually was would paint a picture that allowed us to rest easy with our past as a mercilessly dehumanized, enslaved people. Affirm, remembrance has awakened me to what must be done. And this is from Nyan Saysem, A Calendar of Revolutionary Thoughts by Mwalimu K. Barudi. And this quote is discussing the concept of the race war we know as the transatlantic slave trade, which was very pedophilic in its function when one comes to realize and understand that most of those people on those boats were children. This program will be focusing on a huge component to the system of white supremacy, which is pedophilia, the reality that we exist on a planet where children are allowed to be severely mistreated. Non-white and white children are allowed to be used and abused because the system of white supremacy demands it. let's get into our first clip.
Nabokov's multi-layered interrogation of the pedophile's secret underworld extended to the movies. Anticipating queries raised by more recent critics such as Marion Sinclair, the author detected unsavory currents beneath Hollywood's glittering surface. With Lolita, he took special delight in mocking suspect scenes found in Shirley Temple films. The iconic child star, Shirley Temple, was born on April 23, 1928. For 4 years during the Great Depression, this talented little girl remained America's #1 box office attraction. Shirley began her long film career at age 3, when she starred in an all-child cast Baby Burlesque series, produced and directed by Jack Hayes and Charles Lamont. Lamont is widely credited with being Shirley's discoverer. During the 1930s, the Baby Burlesque short film screened regularly before the main feature. Commonly interpreted as innocent, fun-filled spoofs on leading actresses of the stage and cinema, the Baby Burlesque films are in fact replete with disturbing slapstick jokes and sly innuendos. As the leading lady, Shirley Temple frequently played a prostitute or nightclub performer. In Glad Rags to Riches, she was La Belle Diaperina, a dancer at the Lullaby Lobster Palace. Her beau, Elmer, fails to impress when he chomps down hard on an enormous pickle. In War Babies, Pipsqueak Shirley played the diaper-clad harlot Gloria. The toddler soldiers, hanging around Pete's Buttermilk Cafe, compete for her attention by presenting her with enormous lollipops. Titillating side entertainment is provided by the tap-dancing African-American boy who performs a slow striptease down to his underwear. Down on all fours, another toddler sits open-mouthed beneath an overturned baby bottle. A large sign in the background states,
I'm just going to pause here briefly. Please pay attention to the symbolism. Pay attention to what you are seeing. Allow your brain computer to decipher the incorrect symbolism and imagery that is being used with these children. You have a ton of phallic symbols. You have a milk bottle coded to be a phallus with milk pouring onto the child, coded to be perhaps sperm, some sort of ejaculation coming from the phallus onto the child. You're going to see a number of this throughout this video. This is very intentional. This is how the system of white supremacy promotes and spreads pedophilia and Area 3 entertainment. This has been refined to a degree where the average cartoon show, the average TV show is riddled with these coded messages that many will not pick up on. Luckily, Nabokov is a suspected racist who is sharing this information with us. So I'm going to continue the video.
sour milk. When things go awry, Gloria comes to the rescue by pulling a rubber glove from her purse and attaching it to a keg of sweet milk. As the youngster suckles away, a man can be heard moaning rather than mooing on the accompanying soundtrack. Shirley's prostitute status is ultimately confirmed when a patron triumphantly picks his teeth with a bobby pin that held up her diaper. Shirley again played a call girl in Politics in Washington. Hired by the nipple and anti-castor oil lobby, she sets out to corrupt a new bumpkin senator. When Senator Clodbuster succumbs to her wily charms, Polly confirms her sex-for-hire status by stating,
I'm expensive.
Clodbuster's fall from grace sees him go down on a giant cake, bizarrely spewing white icing behind him like a lawnmower. In the last Baby Burlesque film, Kid in Africa, Shirley played the cannibal civilizing Christian missionary Madame Cradlebait. attired in hot pants and a
So we have a number of things happening. Shirley Temple is playing a cannibal, Christianizing. Actually, let me remind it because I want to be super thorough and accurate.
in Christian mission baby burlesque film Kid in Africa, Shirley played the cannibal civilizing Christian missionary.
Cannibal, civilizing Christian missionary. Now, one of the first studies we did on this program was the delectable Negro. If anyone has a long track record of cannibalism, it is white supremacists and or people who classify themselves as white. But as we learned from the ISIS papers, how the system is also perpetuated and maintained is with the psychological phenomenon known as projection, when a people or a person will project their incorrectness onto others. When you are the cannibal, when you are the rapist, you will project that onto the other, the non-white people, your victims. So we're seeing racist tradition being promoted here, meaning non-white people, black people, savages, cannibals, and we're also going to see pedophilia being promoted. They are one and the same. You cannot separate racism and white supremacy from pedophilia.
Madame Cradlebait. Attired in hot pants and a white safari hat, the pistol-wielding madam journeys through the jungle accompanied by an obedient troop of African coolies. During a raid, she is captured and stuck in a cliché cooking pot. After seasoning her with salt, the cannibal chief asks the telephone operator to connect him to extension 342.
Here we go, 3, 4, 2.
After Madame Cradlebait is rescued by miniature Tarzan, the action abruptly shifts to an eerie post-honeymoon scene outside the Squaldorf Hotel. An African child carrying a Weary Nipple Cafe Specials billboard tanks up at the Last Chance filling station by sucking on the end of a gas pump. The mouthfuls he swallows are conveniently monitored on the gulp meter standing nearby. In case you missed it, here's a longer close-up of the pump's nozzle.
Another one of our significant studies was Race Code War by Kyrie Inaharo, who did an excellent job at covering coded messages, coded symbols, and how they have become warfare against us. And this is what we're seeing here. We're seeing in our faces the promotion of pedophilia, and we're seeing these children being misused. Like every child involved in these productions are certainly victims of pedophilia, simply due to the content they are being portrayed in. So this is called the Lolita Riddle. One can YouTube this and watch the whole series. You will learn a lot. I believe the doctor's name is let me Alfred Kinsey. He's another racist, rapist, white supremacist who is celebrated and glorified. But if one takes an actual thorough investigation at Alfred Kinsey's research, he was also a promoter and helped to refine the practice of pedophilia. Area 3, entertainment, is a huge area where pedophilia is promoted. So these clips are very old. Now we're going to move into some clips from 2023 and see that nothing has changed. The system of white supremacy is still very evil, very vile, something that we must eliminate immediately and replace with a system of justice. A system of justice that guarantees no one is allowed to be mistreated, and the people who need help the most receive constructive help. You know, there's no reason for it to be 2023 and I'm wanting and needing to do a broadcast on children being abused and correct things happening. But here we are. So producejustice.com, let's solve this problem. Or we can remain lame and allow racist men and racist women to dominate the planet and sacrifice our children, non-white children. I shouldn't say our children, but sacrifice non-white children, because non-white people, we don't have children. Unfortunately, we can say that those are our children, but if we can't protect them from racist men or racist women, they are not our children. And this program, it should be said that victims of pedophilia, greater numbers they're going to be non-white people. Yes, a lot of white children are definitely victims of pedophilia and are white sacrificed in that regard. But what the transatlantic slave trade should tell anyone is that most of those people coming over here were underage teenagers, boys and girls. 2023, not much has changed. Not much has changed, actually. And the so-called juvenile centers, the so-called foster care centers, the children being abused, raped, are often non-white children classified as black. So, continuing on with the clips.
Man that's ever stalked a child.
Peter brought the case to a current affairs attention 3 years ago. He knows the boy and was acting as a spokesperson on behalf of the boy's family, who ACA chose not to identify.
Kids are not your toys. Children are to be left alone. It's that simple.
The messages sent to the 13-year-old were disturbing.
I call dibs on that virginity.
Sure.
Hold on to that virginity. I'll be going past your part of town in a week or two.
Yes, keen.
And don't tell anyone. Don't think you're even legal.
Okay, I won't.
How old are you?
13.
I really must be a pedo, 'cause that's so hot.
She also sent 4 naked pictures of herself and a request for him to send her intimate photos too. Nudity doesn't seem to be an issue for Blondie, even at peak hour on one of Melbourne's busiest streets when we first confronted her.
So what have you got to say to this boy's parents about your contact that you've been having with him? Okay. Wow. That's what you'd like to say to this boy's parents?
Thank you very much.
So, white women, white rapist women are often, actually white supremacist women as well, are often just totally under the radar, not suspicious, not met with suspicion. A lot of people you can hear saying the white man this, the white man that, but it's white man, white woman, racist man, racist woman that are both responsible and guilty of being quite deranged and evil people who have a long track record. Both of them have a long track record of abusing children. And one can just easily Google like teachers, inappropriate relationships with students, and you're gonna see a lot of white women on that list, a lot of white mugshots. And this is white supremacist culture, abusing children, abusing children. continue on. It's the same thing. We're going to see white people across the planet. Don't even know what language they're speaking, but I do suspect they are white. And we're going to just see white supremacist culture. Or just white culture, because apparently the white people are allowing this to take place.
مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
شو اسمك؟
محاسن.
قديش عمرك؟
هلا 10.
هلا عمرك 10 سنوات؟ بتروحي على المدرسة؟
لا.
انت بأي صف؟
أنا ثالث.
مين طلعك من المدرسة؟
خطيبي أحمد.
انت مخطوبة؟ قديش عمره أحمد؟
ما بعرف.
قدك؟
لا.
أحمد كبير أو صغير؟
طويل.
مساء الخير أحمد.
خير مساء النور.
مين بتكون محاسن؟
خطيبتي.
So before I continue the clip, Area 7 is quite disastrous, because Area 7 does not teach the average person to want to produce justice, want to bring peace to planet Earth. A lot of times Area 7 leads to a lot of incorrect things happening. One of those things being arrangements like this, so-called Allah, so-called Islam, so-called a lot of that jargon, a lot of those concepts, when it goes into a person's brain computer, it can make them very, very, very vile. Case in point, the clip we're seeing, and I may be 0526 myself, I'm speaking as an individual nigger meaning non-white person victim of racism. So I'm supposed to be stupid. I'm not supposed to know what I'm talking about. So I may be totally in error of what I'm saying and thinking. But I think Area 7 is very disastrous, because it could lead to a lot. It does. It does certainly lead to a lot of arrangements like this, especially in those so-called Islamic areas, or however you want to describe them. But continuing with the clip.
قديش عمرك أحمد؟
أنا 25.
عمرك
He's
25 سنة
25, she's 10.
ومحاسن عمرها 10 سنين. قديش كان عمرها لما تعرفت عليها؟
هي شي 8 سنين.
كان عمرها 8 سنين لما تعرفت عليها.
يعني هلا فيك تقول فايتة بال 11.
كيف تعرفت عليها؟
يعني في قربة بيناتنا.
في قرب بيناتكم.
ايه.
الزواج أيمتى؟
الزواج بس لتكبر شوي.
يعني أيمتى؟
شي سنة بس تصير هيك شوي كبيرة وضاجة.
شو بيختلف من هلا عمرها 10 سنين لبعد سنة؟ شو ممكن يختلف؟
يختلف كثير.
شو لفتك أحمد بطفلة عمرها 10 سنوات؟
أنا بيكفيني مربيها على إيدي وما بدي فلتها من إيدي.
شو يعني تربيها على إيدك؟
إنه بيكفي إنه أنا داير عليها ودير بالي عليها وحابها وحبتني ومتفقين مع بعض يعني على كل شيء.
طفلة عمرها 10 سنوات قاصر جسديا، شو لفتك فيها؟
أنا صار لي 3 سنين معها، عرفت علي كيف؟ حبيتها يعني حبتني.
سؤال، تعرف الزواج هي علاقة بين رجل و...
So he actually started he's actually started raping her, grooming her, mistreating her, mind raping her. However we're gonna describe the arrangement is certainly incorrect, and this is certainly a man, and that is a child. But we're in a system of white supremacy. It's a sewer system, as Neely Fuller has described it, and we're all swimming in it. So this is what's taking place. This is normal in a system of insanity. This is normal, what we're seeing here. And yeah, we should all be disgusted that this has happened once, let alone happening all the time, constantly. You know, children are supposed to be doing children stuff, you know, learning how to, you know, do things that are constructive, not hanging out with some 25-year-old man who's talking about you're gonna be my wife. What? My brain computer is really frying right now in real time because this is so evil. This is so insane that I'm here, 2023, sharing this information with you all. But check out my study, on Program to Kill. You know, this is what the system is all about. Program to Kill, David McGowan. Cannot have a system of white supremacy. You can't have constant killing, constant incorrectness without children being abused. It's a huge, important ingredient to this awful, awful awful system of white supremacy. I didn't want to continue the metaphor. So.
المرأة هو تناغم فكري، تناغم عاطفي، ولكن أيضا علاقة جسدية وتناغم وانجذاب جسدي. شو اللي جذبك بطفل قاصر عمرها 10 سنوات؟
يعني برجع بقول لك قلت لك وحارجع اقول لك حبيتها وطلبتها من ابوها لانه انا ما تاخذني بالك الجيل هلا كله ما دخل بيها.
مش عم بسأل سؤال، شو اللي بيلفت رجل راشد بجسد طفلة لم يكتمل النمو؟ جسد طفلة ما في أي معلم أنثوي عن هذه الطفلة، عن كل الأطفال بهالعمر. شو اللي جذبك عن هذه الطفلة؟ لما تقطع امرأة جميلة حتى، شو بتطلع؟
بتطلع بجمالها.
لما تقطع طفلة عمرها 10 سنوات، شو لفتك بجسد طفلة؟
What you're doing and what these people are doing are raping children. That appears to be their culture. And this culture appears to have been made very normal. Why is it that rapists and pedophiles get less time and greater confinement than anyone else? Literally anyone else from my observations. You know, it's not until you do something really grave or repeatedly until you're really facing some what they call a hard time. Maybe it's because the system demands children to be abused. And the system demands that people in general just don't care about children. Just, you know, we have whole Reddit threads that, you know, kids are fucking stupid, or I hate children, you know, whole personality types. You know, can be, you have a whole personality around not liking kids, you know, whole comedy shows, kids are lame, blah blah blah. You know, we need it in our minds that children can be thrown away, can be discarded. Children are not sacred. They should not be protected. Because when we think like this, we can see stuff like this taking place, not bad at eye. We can learn about all the non-white brown girls and so-called Nepal, India being trafficked, all the Afghan boys being raped. We can learn about all these things and not give a F. Because we're not supposed to. We're supposed to be complacent and let this system keep on churning. But as 2023, we should want to be better people. Bare minimum, I may not want to, you know, the least we can do is attempt to end the system of white supremacy, because that's the only way we're gonna stop the rape of children. Only way. And if you think we shouldn't end the system because maybe children deserve to be harmed in that manner, then definitely you're a part of the problem. Certainly part of the problem, but don't think a lot of I'm gonna end that thought and continue the video. I don't want to just rant about how much. Yeah, I don't just want to rant about the obvious that we should want to end the abuse of children. That should be obvious, but apparently it's not, because I don't know how many broadcasts like this exist where we understand pedophilia, system white supremacy, you know, one and the same.
جسدها ما اكتمل نموه بعد.
ما اكتمل درجة
انه تشوفها مرأة.
ما انا برجع بقول لك انا حبيتها لهالبنت.
بس فهمت السؤال.
ايه
انت شفت فيها امرأة؟
ما انا برجع بقول لك انا حبيتها يعني انا برباها، بعرف يعني عم تفهم علي كل شيء، بحكي معه وتحكي معي مثل يعني سبحان الله. بعد احيانا لما
excellent example of grooming, white culture, yeah, totally gross, totally gross. Let's check out same thing.
Yeah, and terrible things happened. You didn't have any sex when you were 13, did you? Did you? Did you? No, you did not. You never pulled your plug when you were 16, 13.
Stand back from me, please, sir.
No, don't you stand over me,
You're standing over me, sir.
I am standing over you, and deliberately so.
It was my first encounter with Jeffrey Leonard. He's a convicted child abuser and a proud pedophile.
What are you doing, Jeffrey?
Chasing these stupid idiots.
I only came here to ask you one question. Do you think it's fair that your victims have to watch you walk past their house every day?
Yeah, the victims. I'm not ashamed to say the victims seeing me pass. Yes.
Are you sorry for what you did to their children?
No.
Now this racist, rapist, he's giving us a rare glimpse of honesty, and we need to understand that this is how the average white supremacist thinks. They do not care about the centuries long of destruction and death and misery they've committed against non-white people or anyone for that matter. In fact, they are proud of it. So when we're dealing with a white supremacist, we're dealing with a very, very, very dangerous lot or individual, which is why we should understand what we're dealing with by having a code, which we can find at producejustice.com. We need to understand the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, or at least have it in our brain computers, because as you can see here, this guy is very very dangerous. You don't know what he's capable of. He's jittery. He's just something to be afraid of, to be blunt. So let's see what else we can learn from this white supremacist rapist. Proud white supremacist rapist.
Instead of leaving them in peace, he walks past their home every morning, a painful reminder of this evil creature who destroyed their family.
You want to know where they live?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Where do they live?
Unbelievably, the law allows him to do it.
So you're taking us to the father of the boys who you abused. Why?
Shall I come interview?
Of course, we didn't let him go through with that offensive offer. We won't reveal anything about the victims to protect their identity.
Do you feel sorry for these people?
No. But you can go in and interview them. That's up to you.
He shouldn't even be allowed to live or even be in that vicinity because it's incredibly distressing. And you can see by the video footage that he actually took pleasure in taking a current affair to that house.
I am an honest man. I've got honest beliefs. I am true to myself. I'm true to everybody else. And I'm true to God.
It's important to understand what Jeffrey Leonard is capable of. He lured two brothers, 16 and 13, into his home and his hands. He showered them with gifts and money and even sent them love letters which are too sick to read out to you. The same goes for their police statements. They were systematically sexually abused beyond belief.
I have not.
Mate, I'm not a 13-year-old boy, okay? All right?
You are a shithouse.
You're not going to intimidate me, Jeffrey.
You are a shithouse.
Would you like to say sorry?
No.
You're not sorry for what you did?
I'm not sorry for what I did.
The man is clearly a problem for
Hetty
all.
Johnson and her lobby group Bravehearts campaign on behalf of victims.
It's absolutely unfair that the perpetrator of the crime, a vicious crime, a destructive crime, has all this freedom to live where he wants to live and to move around wherever he wants to move around, whilst the victims have been forced to spread out across the country to simply
Interesting. That is exactly the situation between white supremacists and their victims. The white supremacists free roam, free range of this planet. The victims, abused, confused, constantly on the move. Very, very interesting. Very tragic and terroristic as well.
get away from him.
One of the victims has moved to Western Australia to get as far away as he can. Sure, Jeffrey Leonard has served a lengthy prison term, but his victims got a life sentence. For the rest of their lives, Jeffrey, they'll be thinking about that animal who stole their innocence.
What about the last time you had sex with anybody? That was an evil occasion, wasn't it? There was no consent there, was there?
What are you saying, Jeffrey?
You are saying that you too are a raper. You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Do you think those young boys enjoyed it when you abused them as young boys?
Did.
No, because Jeffrey Leonard was convicted before the sex offenders register was set up, he doesn't appear on it. The legislation wasn't made retrospective, so many of his neighbours have no way of finding out about his record.
We thought he was just a quiet old guy, but I think it should be concerning because there's a lot of kids that live around here.
But it's not just the school children who walk past his home that are in reach of Jeffrey Leonard. He's written more than a dozen books. These books you've written, are they about molesting young boys?
They're about all sorts of things.
Are they about molesting young boys, Jeffrey?
They're about molesting young boys. They're about molesting young boys. How to do it?
And you'll never guess where you'll find one of his grubby publications, two of the most renowned libraries in Australia, the National Library in Canberra and the State Library of New South Wales.
When I say rapists, races are glorified and celebrated, this is what I mean. I don't think Octavia Butler's books are in these libraries. Don't think the Ice Papers are in these libraries either. Or Urugu, but a book written by a pedophile, a proud pedophile, definitely. Definitely.
I'm a writer. What I do is I'm an advocate.
Writer, pedophile,
Yes.
child molester,
Yes.
grub.
Grub. All right, grub. Grub.
He's clearly a very disturbed man. The fact that he's written books and they've been taken seriously is frightening.
The books and their author have a common cause. Ever since he left prison, Jeffrey Leonard has dedicated his life to overturning child sex laws, which protect the innocent. Is 5 years old too young?
I don't believe there should be any age.
Would most Australians want their children living next door to a pedophile who is not sorry for his actions, who thinks it's acceptable to have sex with a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old? That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, this white supremacist, Jeffrey here, he exhibits a lot of overt characteristics of a white supremacist, just the aggression, the hostility, the animosity towards seemingly everything, the need to use their power. Rape is simply an exertion and display of one power over the other. And a lot of white supremacists, the only thing they care about, they have this insatiable need, this insatiable urge to use their power to dominate someone, to dominate anything. And a lot of pedophiles, a lot of racists have gotten that feel from abusing children. You know, it's really easy to overpower anyone weaker than you, and children are usually weaker than adults. The record shows. So Jeffrey, you know, satisfies his Urugu urges by previously directly capturing children, abusing them, doing what white supremacists do, you know, horrendously abuse and mistreat. Now that he's not able to do that anymore, he's taken to what white supremacists also love doing, which is writing doctrine, writing about their how would they like to maintain the system. Jeffrey here wants to maintain the system by overturning laws that will allow him and more racists like him easily abuse children. He wants easier access and less punishment for abusing children. He's writing doctrine about possibly how to go about abusing children. Of course, it's going to be heavily coded, and whatnot. I want to have to discern his messages. But that's what I suspect Jeffrey is doing. Very, very to be expected. Must appreciate the honesty. Is he disturbed, or is it just white supremacist racist? That's the question to think about. So, but this will probably be our final clip. Probably our final clip right here.
You guys know race mixing was illegal up until 2000. Race mixing was illegal up until 2002. You're going to give up 50,000 years of evolution if you mix up with this dude.
Are you filming us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But you
just look
but
awkwardly.
no, you realize that race mix, it's going to give up 50,000 years of your evolution, right? There's 2 billion of those people being born because of.
Did you know that it's actually better evolutionary to like?
No, it's.
All right, so we have here, you know, battle of the racists, and we have a confused victim, right here, just a confused victim of racism right there. But we have a white supremacist who is displaying and is showcasing his fear of genetic annihilation. This white person is certainly aware of his position, them white people being like less than 10% of the world's population, and that being one of the reasons why they have a system of white supremacy to compensate for their very, very, very low numbers and and many fertility problems. This white man, white supremacist, he sees this blonde white woman, and according to the white supremacists, the blonde white woman, that's the highest caliber of white women. That is the most melanin deficient person you can find right there. A blonde white woman with blue eyes. He sees this white woman, white supremacist, because she's raping this black male, and that automatically makes her white supremacist, because according to compensatory counter-racist logic, white people cannot correctly say they are having sex with us. They cannot honestly say that they are making love to us or any of that stuff, because according to them and their system, we are children compared to them. So they are raping us, they are abusing us. Whatever it is, it's not correct to be taking place. So this white woman, white supremacist, she's saying it's actually better evolutionary. That's also something in the white supremacist mentality where they understand that sometimes they will need like some sort of genetic up boost, some sort of genetic recharge, where they will find a black person to rape and have an offspring with, but they will make sure that offspring is going to be programmed into a non-white person who is going to mate with a white person. So in a few generations, that individual will eventually become white again, or at least white enough to be classified as white. This white man, I'm gonna have to agree with them. While racism exists, white people and non-white people have no business in the bedroom, especially no business making non-white children who have white parents who are not gonna end racism, who are just gonna be totally confused. No, this certainly must stop. So let's listen more to what this white man has to say.
No, it's not.
I'm not going to talk science.
No, it's not.
I'm a scientist.
No, it's not.
I'm a scientist, and I'm not going to talk about this.
Literally, you're just throwing down your genetic line. For sure. Pretty much, you're just LARPing. You're LARPing as a European in America. If you had any actual like heart and integrity,
Hey, homie, are you
then
done?
you'd go back to
No,
Afghanistan.
Are you done?
What are you, a Jew?
Are you done?
Are you Jewish?
No, fuck no, man. Are you done though?
No, but I'm saying the truth.
No, hold on.
So yeah, a whole lot of white culture in this clip. The black male, so brain trash that this is not gonna sway him to, you know, maybe become less confused about white supremacy, and that's probably the most tragic thing about this clip. But you saw a little what they call anti-Semitism. He's like, "Are you a Jew?" He's like, "No, f no, I'm not that. I'm not that." Yeah, I still don't know what a Jew is. Sometimes Jews are white, sometimes they're not. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
Hold on, I know.
Like,
Are you
I
done?
am a scientist, and you are wrong.
Stop. He's
So you.
Hey, it's done now. It's done.
So you think
you stop that? Stop.
No,
that.
you
Homie, stop.
You think hybrid vigor is a thing?
Bro, film me, bro. Film me.
Okay.
Film me. Just stop. Stop that shit.
What are you?
Right?
What are you? Some SJW warrior?
Dude, I don't give a fuck.
Hey,
it's done.
White people are only 7% of the world's population.
See, he said it. He is not. He's afraid right now. He saw that black boy with that white woman. The hair on his back of his neck went up. You know, he felt uneasy. He felt uncomfortable. You know, because hey, that's one less white baby. And for him, you know, that is not a loss he thinks his race can handle. So this is why this is his reaction. This is what we're seeing in his reaction.
That's me. And I'm part of that. And I'm part of that. And it's done now.
And if we
whatever you
So maybe this is that rare, and I doubt it is. But maybe this is that rare thing where we have like a white person and a white supremacist, because maybe this person doesn't care about his racist low numbers. The only race being the white race. He says it's done. He doesn't care. Let's see what else he's gonna say.
You're doing it's done.
If we intermix, we're gonna become.
Who gives a fuck, dude?
I give a fuck because
Why?
we're the only creators of society.
No, we're not.
No,
we ain't.
Net migration only flows into white country. It doesn't flow into.
Just stop.
Exactly.
Stop.
Hey,
Walk across the street.
hey, name me one black country that you would want to move to.
Name me one.
Yes, name me one black country that you would move to.
This is my guy right here. Just go.
Name me one black or brown country that you would move to. Everybody moves into white countries. Everyone moves into white countries for a reason. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because you don't have a retort.
So yeah, this drunk white supremacist Definitely not confused about the system at all. Definitely has the white supremacist view. You know, doesn't understand. Probably does, but will not admit that no one wants to move to so-called black countries because the black countries are allowed to be devastated. And no, not allowed to be devastated. They are plundered and terrorized by white supremacists, and who else the white supremacists will allow to go and plunder so-called Africa. So yeah, that's why we have everyone flocking to white countries, so-called, because white supremacists have created a planet where there are white people. There seems to be more comfort, more resources. Not all white places, because some white places, they're still living like goddamn animals. But places like so-called America, Canada, Europe, well, the United Kingdom, I should say, so-called. Yeah, those places are comfy if you are in an area where white people have decided that the most you're gonna do is go into a mine barefoot. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will want to leave that area for sure. So, yep, fascinating clip. Fascinating clip. Until racism has been eliminated, no more so-called mixed children, no more white people and non-white people in the bedroom. It's just totally incorrect. And yeah, for once, we should listen to this white supremacist. Um, yeah, but. So yeah, I'm just gonna be our. This is gonna be the clip I use to close out. Closing out now. I hope this was of constructive value. I do hope that we are becoming less confused about the system of white supremacy racism. I do hope that we understand that you know our power our power is powerless, and we that's actually motivation for us to want to do things something different, maybe something better being using our thought, speech, and behavior to become less confused about white supremacy, so we can counter it. We can become more courageous in our day-to-day activities, because when you're confused about white supremacy, it's very easy to be a coward and not know you're a coward, not know that you are afraid all the time because you're so confused. But once a person becomes less confused, that fear, that cowardice can become intelligent fear, because you can understand why you've been so afraid. You can understand the horrors that are out there, the horrors of white supremacy racism. You can begin to understand why you should want to eliminate racism and white supremacy, and why that should be our top priority on this planet. You know, white people, until we demonstrate that we are serious about ending this problem, they're gonna keep having fun. They're gonna keep having a blast by blasting us. Um, yeah. Oh, and I'd like to ask for any sort of compensatory help in general. If this program is of constructive value, send some nickels my way. I am a nigger, so I am always in need of help. So if you can spare it, please do. I wish I could ask these kids for help, for some money, because I know that they have more money than I do. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. But there was an article that was shared. But we'll put it on the screen briefly. so folks can find it. Pedophilia has a price tag. I forgot to mention that those clips that was Shirley Temple. She was playing multiple movies. She was playing a child prostitute. You know, a call girl, child prostitute. You know, system of white supremacy, totally grotesque, totally vile. Everyone should be ordering their copy of this book, especially if you're a non-white person, so we can solve this problem ASAP. But thanks everyone for their viewership. CRWS. Actually, it's been a while.
You are alive.
No. I exist.
See, this is why I don't do it. So I should prepare better. But we're gonna play our outro clip.
You are alive.
No. I exist.
Deuces.